Yeah.
And this is a question that's common for any kind of visa. Can we go to a country other than our home country to get the visa stamp?
Mm.
So I am a citizen of India. I want to go to Singapore and get my H1, L1, L2, H4, B2, B1, F1 there. Can I do it? That's called third country national processing, TCN. It is acceptable. It is
Mm.
done all the time. But I would give you a few pointers here. Just be careful with those. First of all, US State Department has said that they prefer people to go to TCNs, third country national processing, rather than waiting in their home country for long, long periods of time.
Mm.
That way the work gets distributed too. And if you Google or use your favorite search engine to find out US visa processing times, you
Mm.
can actually compare each city around you. It goes by city.
Wow.
So,
Yeah.
for example, if you wanted to find out what is the processing time in Toronto, you'll just type Toronto and it'll tell you all the processing times there.
Mm.
Now, that's a good resource. Use it. So you can go to any country. But there are a couple of kinds of visas that are difficult to do through TCN. Not impossible, but difficult.
Mm.
First time tourist visa, first time student visa, first time J1 visa. Why? Because often the third country consulates will say, look, we don't know enough about your culture, etc., to make a
Mm.
sound judgment call whether you have non immigrant intent or not.
Mm.
But H1s, L1s, O1s, all these visas that have dual intent do not require you to process only in your home country. In addition, remember if you are a long term resident of another country, let's say you're going to school in Germany, or you have a work visa in Australia, you can go to the consulate there. That's not third country national because you're living there.
Yeah.
Okay. So, caveat number one, check the time, how long it's taking. Number two, also a good idea to check the consulate website.
Mm. Mm.
Okay. And if you want to send them an email, usually they have their email addresses right there, and you want to look for the email address of the non immigrant visa section, it doesn't hurt to check with them anyway. Okay.
Mm.
But if nothing else works, just go ahead and make an appointment, and TCNs should be entertained. But for those F1, B1 tourist visa types, the question that this young lady asked me, was it a guy or a girl? I think it was a girl. She asked me was, what if I get denied there?
Yeah.
Is that going to cause a problem? And the answer is not any more than if you were denied in your own home
Mm.
country. Okay. Because it's kind of the same thing. But if the denial is because they are not able to judge, they will usually deny it without prejudice.
Mm.
However, that does create a problem because when you want to seek interview waiver, there's a question there: has your visa ever been denied?
Mm.
So in future interview waivers, it could become an issue. But if you have to get to school, I think it's worth taking a chance.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. And by the way, if anybody has any personal experience with third country national student visa processing, please share with us. You can send an email to UD, or you can email me, help@immigration.com, so we can spread the word around for everyone.
Yeah. Yeah.
Now go ahead, UD, please.
Okay. Any new updates? I know there are people asking questions. I There was something for F1 visa, 365 days. Have you heard anything like that? Somebody sent me the USCIS.
365 days.
It's I can't remember what it was
No,
exactly.
there's no such news.
Okay. There's no such news.
Yeah, I just searched my memory banks. I did a real quick search. No, nothing in the random access memory, nothing on the hard drive.
It was something for hardship. I can't remember, but anyway,
Oh, that's a
regardless.
long time back. That's old news. That's like 4 weeks back.
Okay.
They had clarified something
Mm,
that when you seek an economic hardship waiver, how long will we give it to you for?
mm,
So that was just a clarification. Nothing much. I didn't even pay too much attention to it.
okay.
No big deal.
And then lotteries have started,
Yeah,
so
yeah.
hopefully
Oh,
we'll.
one thing I want to point out to people.
Mm,
So this is very unfair, but it's something to be considered. So if you select master's degree, when you apply for the lottery, you have to say whether it's bachelor's degree or master's degree,
Yeah.
or I mean graduate.
Yeah.
So if you select a master's degree, for example, the requirement is that you should have finished the degree by the time you file, and you have 90 days to file after the lottery,
Yeah.
right? So you must have finished the degree. You don't have to have the degree. You should have finished all the requirements. If the
Mm,
school can give you a letter
mm,
saying all the requirements are done
mm,
and they're only waiting for formal conferral of the degree, that's good enough. But the risk is if you're not able to finish your master's degree, you would lose your place in the lottery. That's just so dumb, but that's how they are doing it.
wow.
Okay. So be careful with that. Um, I wanted to add something else. Oh, yeah. Going through master's degree, I don't remember the exact figure, but I think it has about 18% better chance of winning the lottery than non-master's degree. So
Mm,
it's to your advantage. But if you haven't finished the degree, please keep that in mind.
mm.
Okay.
Yeah, that sucks.
Yeah, it does. I agree with you.
All right. People are asking question. Let's start with there was an very interesting one. Okay. If I have evidences, they stated that I was doing business, which is completely wrong. I have some evidence. The
Yeah.
evidences, do they accept and review? And is petition possible from
Yeah.
India?
Actually, Harish, I think what you're saying is if the consulate makes a misrepresentation, fraud, or unlawful employment finding against you during a visa process, what options do you have? I think that's what you're asking me. I'm actually going to write an entry on my blog on that. Once again, immigration.com. Um, this is an issue that has come up quite frequently, and I had promised somebody who had reached out to me and they wanted to do a detailed consultation. I said, look, before you spend $400-500 on a consultation, spending half an hour me going over these facts, let me write a blog entry. And if your questions are all answered, then you don't have to pay me, and it'll be good for everyone anyway.
Mm,
So I should have something done within the next week. I'll post it. You guys can review it. Basically, I tell you what the problem is and how to deal with it and what happens.
yeah. Um, Rudra, shout out from me. All right. How long does I 485 process take these days?
Okay, so you go to USCIS processing times, and you'll come out to the processing times page,
Mm,
select I-485 in the drop down list, and then select the kind of processing it is. Okay. And then finally you select which center you are being processed at. It'll give you the times. So two variables. If you're an employment based case, they can waive the interview. Yeah, exactly. So if you select 485 form, yeah, and then form category, for example, employment based,
mm. And then
yeah, and then it just tells you the time.
you don't have to select Chicago.
Yeah,
Like,
you do. You have to select now which field office. Field office or service center. So field office means if your case has been moved, this is Chicago, Illinois. So the problem is that means if your case gets transferred to Chicago, they're
mm.
going to take 22 months to schedule you for an interview.
Oh. And is it different for different states or
Different.
cities?
Yeah, try, I'll tell you another one. Try Raleigh, North Carolina.
Sorry, I'm curious because Sacramento is by me. Okay. North Carolina,
2025. Try Raleigh, North Carolina.
21 months. Okay.
That's not too bad. There was one I saw which was almost 3.5 years. And I looked at it, I said, what? I thought it was somewhere in North Carolina, but I could be wrong. So,
Yeah.
anyhow, so this is where you can find out approximate times.
Mm,
But what they are doing is, under Biden administration, many employment based cases or most employment based cases, they are not referring for interviews.
mm.
So, here is the situation. And this is something we discussed yesterday with a client of ours who couldn't stop laughing because she was waiting for her um, um, advance parole. And she got her green card before she got her advance parole. And she
Nice.
said, and she called and she wanted to know if this was a mistake. I said, no, this is common. And it's green cards are coming quicker than advance paroles. So the bottom line is these periods are highly variable.
Mm,
There are some dependencies. It depends whether they're going to interview or not. Interview slap on another 2 years, 1 to 2 years. No
yeah.
interview, you could be done in 3-4 months, 5 months.
Mm, mm. What happens to someone who files multiple H-1Bs from unrelated employees and more than one of them got picked? Are
Yeah,
those chances wasted for others
yeah,
since they can only
yeah.
go with one picked H-1B?
Yeah, if you apply for no, if you get picked twice, somebody had this is on the frequently asked questions. USCIS has posted frequently asked questions. I think they have a system whereby they can tell when somebody is not filing again, so they should be able to reuse that visa in the next lottery round,
Wait,
unless you file both. So if you file for both, I don't know what they will do. That's a good question. I know that if you don't file through both, they should be able to use that empty lottery slot for the next round.
but the selection of the lottery is getting wasted.
No, why? Because if they have a second round of lottery, they'll use that empty number.
Oh, gotcha, gotcha. Okay, okay, got it. Okay, yeah, that makes sense. There should be some form of deduplication logic, but
Well, I think they have again they have also done one more thing, and I don't do the data entry, so I don't know exactly how it works. But I believe there is now a tool that you can check each employee. As a lawyer, I can check do they have other lotteries going on as well,
hmm,
so that if there is a problem, I can alert the employer and the employee both.
okay. My visa was revoked and denied at port of entry. Is there any chance to get a new visa for America, or will I get a visa for any other countries if I apply? Mm.
Okay, so if the visa was revoked, question is what was it revoked for? If it was revoked for fraud or misrepresentation, it's a permanent bar. You can not come back to the US unless you get a 212D as in doctor number 3, 212D3 waiver. Okay.
Mm.
You can get that for even H1s, L1s, even tourist visas. So unless you get a 212D3, you can't come in. But it's a permanent bar. That means you can't get a green card, but you can come and visit, okay, or even work. Um, about third countries now, because I'm not admitted in 200 countries in this world, I don't know how other countries work, but I can tell you this, that at least common sense says one country should not have any connection with another.
Yeah.
But I do know that there's some crossover between Canada and USA.
Mm.
Canada will treat it negatively if you have a problem with your US visa, I think, but I'm not a Canadian lawyer.
Mm. Can I take up job roles as product manager or business analyst with my master's being data science? So that's question one. And I haven't filed 8843. Oh, that's a text.
No
Uh,
idea what taxes. I almost failed my tax exam. You don't want my advice on taxes.
uh,
My knowledge of taxes is I sign my tax return at the bottom and wherever they tell me to.
but I think you have 5 years to uh, file your
Oh,
taxes.
for heaven's sake, don't give tax advice. You can go to IRS and find out. Just and they're
That is
deeply
also,
helpful. They
yeah,
have a
yeah.
helpline. They'll help you out. That's one part. Now, can you take up your job as a product manager or a business analyst? So, um, bottom line is, if you can demonstrate that to do this job, a specific degree is required, you can definitely get an H1B for that. So I'll give you
Mm,
an example. Let's say you have an MBA. Okay. An MBA is considered to be a generic business degree. Usually, it is not considered to be a professional specialty occupation degree. If a job just requires an MBA, you won't get an H1B for it because it's a generic business degree. If, on the other hand, you have an MBA in marketing and you get a job as a market research analyst, and your job does require that kind of higher education, you'll get it.
mm,
So if you're a product manager, my question would be, what is your job? If you're just acting as a product manager, you're just managing a project, that's not really specific enough.
mm,
If, on the other hand, the product that you are selling is, for example, let's say software as a service, okay, and there are data streams and there's all kinds of complications. Data streams have to be customized, and there is some software programming involved, and there are some high funders of statistics involved. Yeah, a
mm,
product manager will need a degree for that job,
yeah.
because data science can go into software development. For example, if you are automating streams, okay, it can go into analytics, systems analytics.
Yeah,
Uh,
even business analytics, BI
Same thing.
engineers.
But
Yeah.
go further. It can also be a job in statistics. It can be
Mm,
a job in mathematics. So there are all these possibilities.
yeah. Yeah. Okay. If H-1B petition got approved, then can we switch the employer before stamping?
Okay. If your H1B is revoked before October 1st, assuming that October 1st is the start date, then you have a problem. But after October 1st, you can switch employers even before stamping. Um, One more thing I would like to know is if you have a change of status. If you have a change of status, no problem. If you don't have a change of status, talk to your lawyers. There could be some complications.
Mm, right.
So stamping is not required, but change of status is highly advisable.
So what happens when they go to the stamping? He
So
will get a
yeah,
new MN like I
yeah,
seven nine
yeah.
seven. Okay.
So let's say your case got your H1B got approved through IBM, but then Oracle gave you an H1B transfer. So
Mm-hmm.
when you go to stamp your visa, you go to Mexico, Canada, India, wherever, you will take the latest approval,
Mm,
and that's the basis on which you'll file the DS 160.
okay.
I had another guy on social media call me, talk to me yesterday. By the way, I don't do free consultations, guys. I do it as a matter of community service. Don't tell me it's my right to ask questions and you have to answer them, because I'm getting some of those people too, which is
Yeah.
kind of interesting. They're like, "Oh, you charge?" No, no, I do this. I'm.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
we try to help as many people as we can, but it's not always possible. And if you are getting paid, you should pay us as well.
Right.
This gentleman was in a weird situation. The reason I answered that question without a consultation because he was stuck in India and he was flying the following day, I think. Uh, he said, I came with an approval of both X and Y company. I'm working with X company, but during the DS 160, I submitted both my X and Y. So when they stamped my visa, they stamped it for Y, even though I'm working for X. I'm
What?
scheduled to fly. What do I do now? I said, well, you fly. You should be all right because the H1B visa is really not connected to a particular lawyer,
Mm,
particular
mm,
employer.
complete. Yeah. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
you should be okay, but keep this in mind. It's a good idea to submit the approval notice of the place and the
You are
employer when you're
working.
going to be working when you get back.
Yeah. Yeah. That's interesting.
Yeah. Again, I'm not going too fast. I'm trying to cover as many people as I
No,
can.
no, no. I think you're good. You're good. I like it. How long can I live outside of USA on H-1B I-140 pending, given my employer doesn't
Oh,
care?
this is my favorite question. Why? Because Department of Labor is full of it. They have given a ruling, which I have criticized. If you look at my Economic Times articles, just Google my name against the Economic Times. There's one particular article comment I wrote, which I thought was absolute nonsense from the U.S. Department of Labor.
Mm.
But if you ask me and if you ask the Department of Labor, you get two different answers, and I'm right, they're wrong. So first of all, why do you need to maintain your H1B? If you're going to work from outside USA, forget about the H1B. Work for the employer from outside USA. Let them revoke the H1B. We don't really care. It can always be refiled, and you will not be subject to the lottery. The reason I'm saying this is because Department of Labor said if you work from outside USA, you must be paid your salary, US salary fully. And my question was, salary depends upon where you're working from. So should they be paying him Indian salary, New Delhi
Mm,
salary, Bangalore
mm,
salary? It was just that question that ruling does not make any sense. Um, the bottom line is you can work as long as you like. If you want to maintain your H1B, keep getting paid your H1B salary. That's great. And by the way, this this idea of H1B being used for less than full-time presence in the US is actually in the regulations. So if you go to 8 CFR, I believe 214.2, it's online. You
mm,
can or you can Google intermittent H1B. Just Google
mm,
that.
mm,
And it says any year that you have utilized H1B less than 6 months, you can get the whole year back.
mm,
What does that say? That means you can work outside USA as much as you like.
mm, mm. Okay. And I'm assuming this doesn't even apply for green card. Like someone who has green card, they can. Do they have to stay certain months in United States? How many
Yeah.
months is that?
You have to establish your permanent home in the United States. And this is not a difficult question to answer. Sometimes people will say, well, I have my apartment is here, but I'm not living there. I have rented it out. But that's not living in the United States.
Mm,
Okay. You have to have your permanent home in the United States. I'll write this up actually. This is also very commonly asked. There are three ideas in my mind that I need to write about. The third one is what kind of work you can do on B1 visa when you come to USA.
mm.
So I'll just make a note of it somewhere. Give me 1 second. Keep going.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Pritesh's birthday is there. Happy birthday.
Whose birthday is it?
uh, Pritesh Tiwari. Some.
Oh, happy birthday, Pritesh. You want us to sing for you? I sing in tune.
I don't.
That's why I asked.
All right. Last year, my admission was refused at the Chicago Port of Entry. They
Hmm.
canceled my F1 visa under the application for admission withdrawn and
Oh,
told me,
withdrawn. Hang on. Withdrawn is very good because withdrawn means they did not put a bar against you. If they refuse you entry, you are barred for 5 years. So this is you have a good case, all things
mm,
considered.
okay, so he can reapply.
Yeah, he
That's
can reapply. Like, um, we were talking about green card.
Can I ask my lawyer to pick a service center to process my perm that has lowest processing time? Example,
No,
I'm in Seattle, but
no.
no.
You can't forum shop. It, yeah, it's not.
um, oh. Can you please talk about the correction of first name on US visas and the repercussion,
Repercussions.
sorry, that was a hard word, of coming to university with
Sound it
first
out. Repercussion.
repercussions.
Repercussions.
All right. Is there an issue if he has wrong first name on US visa?
Okay, so this is actually quite a lengthy topic. This might become another one of your sound bites, Yudi. So this is what you do. Okay, in my view, this is the best way to do it. Changing your name within the United States is quite easy. Okay, you go through the local court system. Don't even need a lawyer. They'll have a bunch of procedures you have to follow, and you'll advertise. And the court will give you a judgment, a decree that says you are now to be known as, I don't know, UD Ghanshyamji Tata. Okay.
Yeah.
So you've got your name change. Now you take it to, first of all, check with the Indian consulate. I don't know how they work, but they should be able to accept that because it's a judgment from a court of competent jurisdiction. They should change your passport. Then you change your social security number. Then you change your driver's license. And then finally you change your immigration papers. You will not be able to change your visa. But if you have a green card, you can change it. If you have naturalization, you should be able to change it. So going through the court is the best way to do it. Another way you can do it is if you are about to naturalize, you can do a name change during naturalization. And the third way to do it is that next time when you file whatever visa application you file, use the name you want to use,
Mm.
and other names used, you can put down the previous names.
All right. I will take this as a last question because I have to go back. I'm current F1 student. I will be graduating in May 2023. Our employer, one employer is filing for H1B
Mm,
this year. If
mm,
I want to join another company after my H1B
mhm,
picked up, can I
mhm.
transfer H1B without joining?
Yes. As long as your H1B is not revoked before the start date, assuming it's October 1st, as long as it is not revoked before the start date by the old employer, the way I saw it, the way I read it, I would say that you could change status because you have a grace period of a certain days. Do you have 60 days? I don't know if you have 60 days. You might. I'm 100% sure, in my opinion, my
Mm,
reading of the regulation was, if the employer doesn't give you a job, so that's like a layoff, right? So then you have a 60-day grace period within which you can transfer even without joining that employer.
mm,
So why should that not apply if you leave the employer or never join the employer? Because the regulation uses the term cessation of employment. So
mm.
to cease employment means either party could do it. So
Right.
I think you would have a 60-day grace period to file transfer. I have done it at least once last year, had no problems.
So, okay, and I'm just thinking about this scenario. He can't start working until May because that's when he graduates. So after May, instead of joining his old company, before even joining, he wants to join this another company.
Yeah, you can do that. But not before October 1st. Nobody can start an H1B who was subject to the quota before October 1st. It can even be later. If you're the second round of lottery or third round of lottery, it could go beyond October 1st. But let's say that you're the only one round of lottery and nobody can start before October 1st.
So
That's the
he'll be on
earliest.
OPT, like in on OPT, he will have to
No,
say his.
OPT, he's asking about H1B specifically.
Mm,
So what he wants to do, as I understand, Sanju, look, the kind of question you have given us, it's like reading the Upanishads. We have to debate every aspect of it. So I think what he's asking us is this. He's saying, so I get my H1B approved. October
mm,
1st, it is approved, but it is now August.
yeah.
Okay. In August itself, I want to apply for a transfer to another employer without joining this employer. And I'm saying, as long as you don't ask for a date earlier than October 1st, and as long as the old employer doesn't revoke your H1B before October 1st, you can do it. Now, can you do it on or after October 1st? I think you will have 60 days to do so,
Mm,
even without joining the employer.
mm.
That's the way I read the regulations, and I've tried it at least once. That doesn't mean it'll work every time, but at least it worked that one time we tried it.
Got it. Okay, cool. That was good one. Let's see if there's any burning question.
Any burning questions, guys?
Um, okay. Uh, I'm unsure whether to try for H-1B visa stem with my passport expiring in January 2024 or renew my passport in USA. Received my H-1B approval on February 2023. Non-profit.
Zahan, this is the way I see it. Look, if you go in with the passport of January 2024, even though your H1B approval is for 3 years, they'll only give you an H1B visa for till January 2024. So might as well renew it before you go in. That's the way I see it.
Okay. Cool. All right. Thank you, everybody. Thank you, Rajiv ji. This was fun. We'll talk soon. Thank you.
Take care, guys.
Bye.
Bye bye.